What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monte Sports Show. It is Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, October 27th, 2020. I am your host, Monte Perez, aka the Sports Whisperer. I want to thank everyone tuning in on Sunday. We had 35 states across the country watch the full Monte Sports Show, and we are trending number three on YouTube. So I want to thank everyone who continues to support our show. I can only do this with your help and the help of our featured guest, Rico. Show me the money, Graziano. Rico, a lot of people were upset that you could not make the show on Sunday because we had technical difficulties. The show went on without you, but it was not the same.
You know, it was heartbreaking. I just got the Oculus Quest 2, and I downloaded everything, and it did something to my sound. Who knows? I don't know, but I deleted all the programs. So I'm back. And you know what the worst part was? Is I could have just signed in through my phone. But I was all bent on getting it done on my computer, running back and forth from my bedroom. Like it was.
That's what people were saying. People were asking why you just didn't sign on your phone.
I wish you would have texted me that.
Well, Rico, I had some other things to worry about. But so you're re-energized. You're back. You are now 6 winning weeks, 1 losing week against the spread. You absolutely dominated this week. And how's your day been going so far? Has it been okay so far? Because I'm going to tell you about what I woke up to this morning.
Oh no, I want to hear what you woke up to because it's just the way when you say it's Taco Tuesday and nobody can be said on Taco Tuesday. I feel like you're just setting yourself up for a letdown. So,
well, no one. Someone once told me you'll never see someone mad eating a taco. So that's why I always say, and Taco Tuesday is always trending on Tuesday. But I woke up, and you're not going to believe this, to Christy Alley of Cheers. Now here is the lovely and talented Christy Alley. We all know the show Cheers. I'm not going to show you what she looks like now because she doesn't look like that. And I don't want to say anything mean about her, but I woke up to a Twitter war.
Don't ruin my dream.
I woke up to a Twitter war with Kirstie Alley. She was cursing me out because she said something about the guy in the White House, and I said factually that's not even remotely true. I was like, you're not even close to being accurate. So she follows it up with blah 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 blah. Why don't you put that on your podcast, Junior? That's what she said to me.
Junior.
She called me Junior, and I said, first of all,
how did I miss this?
It was at 7:00 in the morning Eastern time, so 4:00 your time. So you were probably watching Cobra Kai or something like that at 4 a.m. West Coast. So I figured she's just going to give me a one-liner. So I just go back at her, no big deal. She comes back at me again, and she's like, "Why don't you put that on your podcast, Junior?" And first of all, I wanted to tell her it's not a podcast. I used to do a podcast. It's a YouTube show. And she's like, but no one would pay attention to it because no one cares about you. I'm like, really? Because we're trending third on YouTube. And last month to this month, we've had 81% increase in views. 81%. So when you have 81% of the population behind you, you can't fail.
Well, I just don't understand why you didn't want to show a picture of what she looks like now. Like you're really.
I'm not going to go. I'm not going to stoop to that level.
That's the best picture of her life right there. That's her max.
Yes.
It went down from there.
But here's the thing.
You're a better man than me, man.
So finally, she keeps going. She keeps calling me Junior. She keeps saying, put that on your podcast. She goes, are you going to talk about this on your podcast later? And I said, well, yes, I probably will. Are you going to talk about this with your other coworkers at Subway Eat Fresh Sandwich Shop? So she didn't like that because let's face it, she hasn't acted since 1989. And then I said, why are you trending? Is it 1989? Are they doing a Cheers reboot? And then she said, let me tell you something, Junior. Again, called me Junior 3 times. My followers are going to attack you now. So the hits just started coming from the MAGA trolls. Some of them were funny. Some of them were just, I couldn't believe how rude they were. One guy said, okay, Mr. Steroid Head. First of all, I've never taken steroids in my life. So
I mean, obviously, look,
whatever.
Steroids.
Then another guy said, the only difference between this guy and Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan's funny. And I posted this picture, and I said, Joe Rogan wishes he was as good looking and as funny as me. But can you believe that all morning for I had to block her because the vitriol and cursing on Twitter was just unbelievable.
You blocked her.
Yes, I blocked her
Wow.
because all her followers were just cursing at me left and right.
Jeez, I tell you, that sounds like your morning is definitely more interesting than my morning. I'll tell you that. My
Look at
morning is
that.
changing a diaper, taking a bath, an early bath, even though I should have did it later.
Rico, no one wants to hear about you changing your own diapers. I mean, that's a whole other story that we can get into. All right, Rico, we start every Tuesday show with the three big questions. So let's get right to it. NFL Roundtable Talk, the three big questions for Rico. Show me the money, Graziano. Rico, are the Steelers the favorite to win the AFC after starting the season 6-0? If they don't get to the AFC Championship, as a Steeler fan, is this a disappointment?
That being said, I'm a crazy Steeler fan, and I'm not even kidding. Us not getting to the AFC Championship game every year is a terrible letdown for me. So that being said, I don't think it would be a letdown. There's a lot of, these games, playing against the Ravens and teams like KC and the Titans, they're a last possession game. So you play the game plan and play as best as you could, as well as humanly possible. And sometimes who gets the ball last and who, clock management. So I'm more about, I want to see them win our division first and foremost. I want to see us win our division. I want to see us win this week.
Rico, I got to be honest with you. One of the things that turned me off during that game is Big Ben. You can't throw an interception in the end zone there when you're up driving to pretty much end the game. He just threw it up for grabs. This is not a rookie. This is a guy who's been in the league for over 15 years. You can't make that throw. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I've seen sometimes when he throws his interceptions look like they're almost on purpose. They're not really as precise as he can be with some of his throws. Some of them are so wrong that it's just tough to understand. But there was two of them that were tipped. He threw 3 interceptions. 2 of them were touched by the defense prior to the actual interception. So, you got to give a quarterback a little bit of a break there. But he should have never threw him in triple coverage anyway.
Rico, how about this? Did you get another haircut?
Actually, I did, because the other one, he did it short on the side and
I
left
thought
it
you
long
said you're still under quarantine.
Yeah, no, well, of course I'm still under quarantine. I got my same guy. I got a bubble. I got a steady bubble, a solid bubble of people who don't leave the bubble. And the requirement to get my bubble is that you have a sick relative who can be, it would be very dangerous. So I'm not trusting them. I'm trusting the fact that they don't want to kill a family member.
All right. So that was we started each show with the three big question. That was number 3. Let's move on to number 2. Mike Evans, I'm done with him, Rico. I'm in a very I had an argument with Jared on text all day Sunday. Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Bucks, 41st in receptions, 40th in yards. He is not a top 10 wide receiver, is he?
Top 10. He's not even top 20.
I agree.
I've been telling you, me and Levi watching your tweets this weekend and all the texts that you sent me literally were crying laughing because all Levi kept going was, I told him. He didn't want to listen. I told him. And he even said, I think the words he used was, I told him stop using last year's product for the he's playing in the past or the future. You pick from the past. He's the future of the team.
Whatever you're saying is not making any sense, but I understood what you said.
I'm trying to paraphrase a paraphrase.
So Mike Evans is not a top 20 wide receiver, right?
He's not only not a top 20 wide receiver, but what's his name's not playing this weekend? Is it Godwin?
He's not playing. Rico, can I say this? Mike Evans is a good player on a bad team. On a winning team, he gets lost.
On a Tom Brady winning team, he gets lost. I think he's a good player on most teams because, not many teams have a quarterback who can spread the ball as well as Tom Brady.
Okay, that's fair point. Fair point. All right, Rico, we're going to move on to this because someone wrote this on Sunday, and this is true. I finally saw Rico's movie on YouTube. I have so many questions. Like, how lucky did he get playing himself in a movie? You weren't acting.
I listen, when I played like gangsters or whatnot, I feel like that was more being myself than that particular role. I didn't write it, nor did I direct it, so I just had to go with what my friend who put the whole thing together, and that's the way he wanted it played, and that's the way he wanted the story to be done. So I've had many questions about how the ending, and whenever I talk to him and say to him, "Hey, so when people ask me, what do I say?" He's like, "That's the beauty in it. There's so many
Rico,
questions." I was like,
I said
"No,
I have.
I didn't answer myself."
When I saw the movie on YouTube, and how can people watch the movie again?
It's on YouTube, or you can go to my Instagram. It's on my, I think it's on my Instagram page. You have to,
Yeah.
go to my profile, my Instagram profile.
Wow, you got fans all over the world. All right, Rico, let's move to the third question. Give me your top three teams. Your top three teams in the AFC and your top three teams in the NFC right now.
In the AFC, I have Pittsburgh, the Ravens, and Kansas City Chiefs. And those are easy, and not in any particular order at this moment right now. I think all three of them are all pretty much head-to-head. The Chiefs with a little bit of a lead because they pretty much manhandle the Ravens. And
see, I have the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Titans.
Oh, the Titans looked good. I got to give you their game plan.
They're better than I thought. They're a lot better than I thought. All right, let's move to the NFC. I have the Bucks, the Packers, and the Seahawks.
I got the same three: Buck, Packers, and Seahawks. And again, in that division, not in any particular order. I think any team there, they're all. A lot has to play out. It's only week 7, so.
Yeah, listen. One of the things that I tell people all the time: it's a marathon, not a sprint. The Packers got embarrassed 38-10 against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay lost to the Chicago Bears. They seem to get rolling, but, with COVID, we're seeing injuries like Odell Beckham Jr. go down, which we'll get to in a minute. By the way, I think the Browns will be better without him, but you're seeing injuries all over. Godwin's not playing this weekend for Tampa Bay. So let's move on, and let's talk about every game. Listen, we go through this every week. By the way, Rico, you have 6 winning weeks, 1 losing week. I am 66-22 picking games.
That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
I don't have the brain power to pick every game during the week, but last week I was all over Green Bay. This is what I said. I said, push all your chips in on Green Bay.
And you won a ton of money.
Tampa Bay. I was like, just go all in on those 2 teams.
All right, let's get right to the games right here. The Tampa Bay Bucks, 5-2, beat the 3-3 Raiders. Rico, the Bucks are first in point differential, first in yards differential. Brady, most passing TDs by Tampa Bay quarterback in his first 7 games, 18 TDs. We see right here, Gronk is back in the red zone. I don't think Gronk is going to be putting up 80, 90 catches, but in the red zone, he's almost unstoppable.
I was watching this game, and it was just, he walked down the field every time Brady touched the ball. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers touched the ball. They walked down the field. The game was over by the second drive. That was it.
No, yeah, it really was. It was an ugly game to watch.
Watching that game, it was so. I didn't really watch much of it because I felt like I would be wasting my life because I already knew what was going to happen, and I bet the game, and I didn't really.
Wait a minute! You bet the game and you left it early?
Well, I didn't leave it early. I had 5 games on at one time, but it was one I wasn't paying that much attention to.
All right, Rico. Let's move to the Seattle Seahawks against the Cardinals. 37-34, game-winning field goal. Tyler Lockett, let's just talk about him. 15 catches, 200 yards, 3 TDs. Kyler Murray was unstoppable in this game, 34-48. It was a battle of the 2 quarterbacks. Rico, what I don't understand, and this is what drives me crazy, Seattle's going to need to make a move at the trading deadline. They can't get to the quarterback. Their defense is atrocious. No Jamal Adams. We don't know when he's coming back, hopefully in the next few weeks. Their star safety that they got from the Jets. But here's what I don't understand. You're up 10. Arizona's going for a field goal. Even if they kick it, you get the ball back with about 2 minutes and 35 seconds left, and Seattle has the ball. All they got to do is run out the clock. The Seattle guy jumps over.
I know.
And he gets a 15-yard personal foul penalty. Arizona takes the points off the board. They score a touchdown. They wind up losing the game. Why are you going for a blocked field goal kick there when even if they score, you're still up 7?
You know what? When I saw that happen, I saw the flag, and I was calling it the lucky yellow flag this weekend because it seemed to work in my favor every time. I had the Cardinals When I saw that play happen, I knew it. I was watching with Levi. I said, the tide's going to turn. Watch. And he's like, it's over. I said, it's going to turn. And it did. And that was, and there was also that other flag in overtime when DK Metcalf went up the sideline. That was a legitimate flag too. That was
but how about this, Rico? How about DK Metcalf running down Buda Baker? I mean, he ran him down 90 yards to stop him, and it actually worked out for Seattle. Talk about the effort there by DK Metcalf.
Now, there you go. There's a guy who's playing football, the whole time, 4 quarters. He got 2 balls thrown to him. He had 1 catch at that point. 1 catch. And you know what? Playing football, blocking, doing everything a real football player does. He's so humble on certain – I mean, he's a beast, but I had him on my fantasy. He didn't do great, but just watching him play football, I appreciated it.
You should have started him on defense over Dallas because DK Metcalf is a better defender than the entire Dallas Cowboy team. All right.
He is.
The Bears are 5-2. The Rams won 24-10. I didn't realize this until I was doing some prep for this show. The Rams are second in scoring defense. 5 games they've held the opponents under 20 points. Now, I know they played the NFC East, but I got to tell you, the Rams they got manhandled by the 49ers the week before. They played smash mouth football, and this game was over again at halftime.
Is there a reason that we're just showing me on the screen? Because I feel like I have to give a reaction to everything you're saying. I'm yeah. You
know what? We got to yell at the director. No, here's the deal, Rico.
You got to get the producer of the show is really just flipping the whole time.
Here's what I'm going to say, okay? And for all the Bears fans out there watching this game, I'm absolutely disgusted with what Chicago has done, not just this year, but their entire existence. Rico, can you name one Chicago Bear quarterback that has been a franchise quarterback for that team for more than 3 years, besides the 1985 Bears team that won it with
Jim McMahon?
Jim
McMahon wearing the sunglasses in the studio all the time. Got hit.
Rico, they haven't had a quarterback in the whole time they've been up. They haven't had a quarterback. Can you name a franchise quarterback for the Bears? And all these people are like, oh, fire Nagy. He won with Mitchell Trubisky. Nick Foles is not the answer. All these people say Nick Foles is better than Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. Nick Foles was a backup quarterback. He won the Super Bowl. The Phillies coaching staff did a phenomenal job. Nick Foles is not the answer, but this is Chicago's whole theme. Defense, they don't have a quarterback.
His numbers are just as bad as Trubisky's.
No, it's terrible.
I think the fact that him and Nagy have worked together so long is why he's still in the game. Because it was terrible. The game was watching a team just play that bad, an offense it was halftime, and his offense burns the clock. He's burning the clock at 7. It's 7-0, and every play is going down to the 3 seconds. The first half last night was over in an hour and 12 minutes. I was like, what is he doing?
Listen, Nick Foles has not been the answer. I'm sure George Lopez loved watching that game, but let's move on. Listen, the 2-4-1 Eagles in first place, 22 over the 1-6 Giants. Listen, the Giants are playing better. They don't have a lot of talent. We saw Daniel Jones run for what appeared to be 80 yards, and then he just fell on I don't know what he fell on. But some great throws by Carson Wentz led them back to 2 scores, game-winning drives. Carson Wentz is playing with basically guys at Home Depot. Hopefully he's going there early, because when you go to Home Depot early and you hire people, that's the first stringers. When you go after 12, 1 o'clock, you get the guys with a limp, with an eye patch. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to Home Depot early. He's getting the first stringers.
Hold on a second. You say that I say inappropriate things. I feel like that kind of, not inappropriate, but that's definitely crossing the line of somewhere something. There's something line you've crossed. Just
Rico, I've hired people at Home Depot. I get there early, so I get the first stringers. I don't want, the guy with the peg leg at 3 o'clock. I'm just saying.
But the first stringers, they want to get first string money. You got to go you go later, you get a deal.
So, Rico, we were both right on this. I mean, at the beginning of the year, I had the Eagles winning. You think the Eagles win this division, right?
Yeah, I was the one when you put up that list of people and you said, who's 0-3, who do you think will make the playoffs? I said the Eagles.
Yeah, listen,
You know, the
I
Warriors.
agree with you. All right, now here's a stat that I'm going to put up. We're probably going to have Brad Ward come on to talk about the Browns this weekend. The Browns 5-2 beat the 1-5 Bengals 37-34. Listen, Odell Beckham Jr. out for the year. We see him here with a torn ACL. Everyone's talking about Baker Mayfield here, but Joe Burrow threw for 406 yards, 3 touchdowns. Listen to this, Rico. Baker Mayfield 5-1 against the Bengals, 12-18 against everyone else in the NFL.
You know, I said this about Baker Mayfield a while ago. He can't throw to a particular player. He could throw to open player. Now I know that's hard to understand, but like Tom Brady doesn't very rarely throws to a particular player unless it's a quick throw. He throws to open players, the guy who's open. I mean, this guy Donovan People-Jones had 0 catches. He's a rookie coming into that game, and he had 3 key catches and that amazing catch to win the game. You have Rashard Higgins, who had 6 catches for 110 yards. This all happened after Beckham went down. This all happened. You know, these are guys who.
Oh, listen, I agree with you. I think Baker Mayfield's going to be better now that Jarvis Landry will be the #1 wide receiver. I think that they're going to be better. I don't think they're an elite team. They got their butts kicked by the Ravens. They got their butts kicked by the Steelers. But they have an easy schedule, so they should win 9 games.
Well, everybody in the AFC North has an easy schedule because we're going against the NFC East. So.
Well, true. That is true. That is true. All right, let's move on. Speaking of the NFC East, look, what bothers me about this, the 2-5 Washington football team, by the way, I predicted the Washington would win on my show on Sunday, and they did 25-3. Here's the problem I have, Rico. Bostic comes in, and he lays out Andy Dalton. Not one Dallas Cowboy offensive lineman went after Bostic. Now, I'm not going to sit there and say you got to punch Bostic, but you got to make it known that you cannot hit my quarterback like that. I've been in several fights in my life. I've never gotten into a fight when someone said something bad about me, when someone said something offensive to me, because I don't care. You're not worth my time. But when you say something disrespectful to a woman I'm dating, a family member, or friend, that's when I fight. Not one Dallas Cowboy lineman went after Bostic after he took out his quarterback. What do you feel about that?
Well, you know, I feel like the team doesn't respect. They don't respect Andy Dalton that much because you know what? When Dak went down, it's like they knew before we knew how bad Dalton was. There was something there. I mean, you can't go blaming the offensive lineman. This team is like traumatized. They're going through post-traumatic stress disorder of losing their captain. Who, I mean, let's call it what it is. Dak Prescott's carried them for the last, 2 years, like on his shoulders. He's their Russell Wilson. So. I mean, you can't blame that. You can't. I mean, at the end of the day, what are you going to do? You're going to go there and fight for your quarterback
No,
or
Rico, if someone lays out my quarterback, I'm going after him.
But you won't. But if somebody makes fun of you, you're good. So I can make fun of you, but if I lay out your quarterback,
I don't take it personal. I don't take. But if you're going to disrespect a woman I'm dating, a family member, you're going to get in their face. Then I'm going to go after him. They did not go.
What kind of people you hanging out with that are getting your girlfriend's face? Somebody you're dating face.
Rico, I only go to degenerate places. I don't go to.
I guess hence me on the show.
Okay, let's move on because you're going to disagree with me here. I'm off the Josh Allen bandwagon. Okay, I am off his bandwagon. If you can't score a TD against the worst defense in the league and the Jets are 0-7 for a second time in franchise history. It wasn't this bad since Rich Kotite. Rico, what happened to Josh Allen? What happened to this offense? 18 points, Rico. You cannot play against the Jets and score 6 field goals if you want me to take you seriously.
They're not the first elite. He's not the first elite quarterback to play down to a team that he's playing. They were looking ahead. They're not really. I mean, it's happened multiple times. They apparently look like a team that plays to the team they're playing. They went down to their level. Some teams go up to the level. They went downstairs and played in the basement with them. And I mean, if you changed the uniforms, you would have known the difference of who was playing who.
Here's what I'm going to say. All we've heard for the first 5 or 6 weeks is Josh Allen is an elite quarterback. Josh Allen has taken it to a next level. I'm not comparing Josh Allen to LeBron James. But when LeBron James has a bad game, it's 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. That's a career night for most guys. Josh Allen goes to the Jets against the worst team in the league, and they kick 6 field goals? Are you kidding me?
Well, again, they played down to their level. can you blame them or can you blame the coaching scheme? I mean, can you blame
Why are
when
you
they're
making
playing the way they
excuses? They
were?
didn't score a
You really
touchdown against
blame
the
the
Jets.
quarterback in that particular area. You can't blame the quarterback. He'll prove himself. His integrity of a football player will shine through within the next 2 games.
I don't even know what this means. You've told us about the woman you've dated. I imagine many fights. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know. Listen,
I don't know what it means, but it's funny.
listen. I got into a fight with Christy Alley. I had to block her today on social media, like I said in the beginning of the show. Former Cheers star.
I'm gonna go on and follow her. I
All
don't
right.
want to see the loss in numbers. Since you're so nice to show a pretty picture, I'm gonna follow her to make sure that it's all equal. We're all back to normal.
All right, listen, we're going to get Anna Lewis on in about 3 minutes to talk about the Tennessee Titans. You're watching the full Monte Sports Show live on YouTube with Rico, Show Me the Money Graziano. Rico, couple quick games. I'm not going to get into this too much. Saints won 4-2 over the Panthers, 27-24. Packers beat the Texans. Green Bay is 6-0 all time against the Tech in Houston. Listen, the Lions 3-3 came back. I know it's Atlanta, but the Lions came back. I love this kid, TJ Hawkinson. Loved him out of Iowa. When the Lions drafted him, I was like, this kid is going to be a stud. He didn't have a good year last year, but I love this kid. Do you like him, Rico?
Do I like him? I got him on 3 of my fantasy teams. He's got a touchdown, 1 touchdown in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 straight games with a touchdown. That's exactly right.
He's my boy.
Finally, Rico, I said this to anyone who'd want to listen. I said Justin Herbert, my boy out of Oregon, is the best quarterback in the draft. He's better than Tua. He's better than Joe Burrow. He has been lighting it up. 347 yards, 3 touchdowns, led the team with 66 rushing TDs. This kid's making it look easy.
He looks great. You're right. Right now, he's, to me, easily the front runner for Rookie of the Year. His numbers, he's a solid quarterback. You know, you could say what you want to say about it, but he's great. I like him. I like watching him. He's fun to watch. He does stuff when, plays break apart. You were right. You called it, but you know what? It was hard to take your opinion on this because you're just in love with Oregon quarterbacks.
I'm in love with the Oregon Ducks. That is correct.
You're tough to follow when it comes to them. You're a little skewed.
All right, the Chiefs dominated the Broncos. We don't have to get into that. I just want to talk real quick about the 49ers. Listen, the 49ers, they keep hanging in there. What I don't like is Jimmy G has the fewest passing air yards, meaning he's not throwing the ball deep. But think about this. I think Cam Newton's done. I think his career's over. I thought maybe he had a shot. Bill Belichick, Rico, has only won 46% of his games without Tom Brady.
I know. Who would have thunk it, huh? That Tom Brady was the big key there. But their team did fall apart. They lost a lot of big players. So, you can't really blame Belichick. But and again, they're at a position where they're not even like front runner for a good quarterback coming into the year. I wonder what his play is going to be.
Yeah, I don't see how. And again, I said the Oregon Ducks. There's our little drinking card right there for the Ducks. Listen,
I always said at the end of the day.
So, all right, listen. We're going to bring on Anna Lewis. She is a former D1 defensive line coach, one of the founders of Say It Again Network, a lifelong Tennessee Titan fans. Let's bring her on. Anna, thank you so much for joining the Full Monty Sports Show. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we're excited to have you. Listen, Rico's a Steeler fan, so just ignore his comments for the Titans. But I want to start with this. Because anytime someone comes on my show the first time, I always try to put them in a good mood. But this is going to be a tough question for you. Who was a better Tennessee Titan, Steve McNair or Eddie George? 2 legendary Titans right there.
Oh my God, that's a really crazy question, and anything having to do with Steve McNair. But I live in Nashville, so the day he passed away was just like the darkest
Horrific.
4th of July ever.
Yeah,
it was horrible. You could just feel how down the entire city was. But I feel like out of respect, I have to say Steve McNair, because that man played through incredible injuries. He was really fun to watch. And part of the reason that I got into football and got into coaching the way I did, I've had the pleasure of meeting Eddie George, and he is such a fun person and still so involved in the franchise. So I want to say that Steve would be the same way if he were still with us today. But out of respect, I'll say Steve, but I love them both equally.
It's amazing because if we see how the game has changed, especially over the last 5 to 7 years, And I think that Jeff Fisher was a conservative defensive coach. I would have loved to have seen what Steve McNair could have done with an offensive-minded coach, because he was a runner, he was a thrower. I mean, he was tough as nails. He was one of the guys who you'd want him to slide, and he'd always go for that extra yard. But I would have loved to have seen him really, really be with a dominant offensive-minded coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Jeff Fisher, I'm not the biggest fan, and it's actually Tennessee fans love him, and I'm not a fan.
I was calling for him to get fired years before. I think in 22 years of coaching, he has 6 winning seasons.
That sounds about right. That feels right.
No, it is because I wrote articles about this, and I'm like, we got to get this guy out of here. All right, let's get some Tennessee Titans background for you right there before we talk about the Steelers game. Talk about this team. We're used to seeing Tennessee go 7-9. I mean 9-7, 9-7 every year. They're 5-1 now in a bad division. I thought the Steelers outplayed them, but they could have won the game. And anytime you could play bad or not to your best and have an opportunity to win the game, we started the show. I have it the Steelers, the Chiefs, and the Titans as the top 3 teams. Talk about what you expected coming in. Is this what you expected after an AFC championship appearance last year?
I actually did. I've been very excited because I've been a fan. I'm 25 now, so I'm like showing my age, but I've been a fan ever since they've been in Nashville. So I was 4, and I absolutely love the Tennessee Titans and the energy they always bring. They're always going to fight. And I think a lot of football fans, even if they're not Titans fans, can respect that. I am really happy with where they're at. Coming off of last year, we saw some promising things with the defense. The Jarrell Casey trade was a little questionable at the time, but now we're seeing that maybe, obviously they didn't know he was going to get hurt, but it ended up not being necessarily a bad thing for us. Losing Logan Ryan was a big part of the way I think you see our defense look right now, but you still have those tough guys that have played together for at least a season, maybe 2 now, and they're really meshing, and it's like you can feel the family atmosphere. So I expected big things because at the end of last year, we saw big things, and Ryan Tannehill was – I heard Rico say that you're a big Oregon quarterback fan.
Yes.
I love Marcus Mariota as a person. I was so happy to see him leave us because that's
just breaking my heart.
I'm sorry.
No. Here's what I'm going to say about Marcus Mariota. I was wrong. I thought he would be a very good pro, but we have to be honest here. He had 4 different coordinators in 4 years. When he got benched, and listen, you can't. Ryan Tannehill is 14-5 as a starter. He's been phenomenal. He's a perfect fit. But Marcus Mariota, before he got benched, he was playing with a makeshift offensive line. They got healthy, and they started Ryan Tannehill. Now, I'm not saying it was the right move to make, 100%. And this is what leads to my next question. Mike Vrabel came in. What's that?
Said it breaks your heart to say that. Admit it.
I never talk to my exes, but I feel like I can never say anything bad about Marcus Mariota. Like he's just a great human being. He's a great human being, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he just wasn't a fit there. So
no, he's not.
I wish him all the success in the world, and I do hope to see him do well, but it wasn't here.
I think
Mariota a professional setup. People like your earphones and microphone.
Oh, I tried to coordinate.
What were you going to say, Rico?
My AFC windbreker.
There you go. Go ahead, Rico. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I think Mariota's dealing cards in Vegas right now, isn't he?
He's the backup quarterback. Hey, listen, he couldn't stay healthy either. But he did go into Kansas City, and he did win a playoff game, so it wasn't a total bust. Now, Mike Vrabel, when he first started coaching the team, was super conservative. It was like watching a Rex Ryan team. Run, pass. As a matter of fact, 2 games when they did make the playoffs, the last 2 games, I watched the game with my dad, and I said, Dad, I'm going to script the first 15 plays, and I'm going to call them. I got 13 out of 15 right where run, pass, because it was run, pass almost every time.
Yep.
But he's evolved. They've taken off the reins. I think getting Brown had a lot to do with that, their wide receiver. But talk about how he's opened up the offense and evolved.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest mistakes that he had early on was that he wasn't running Derrick Henry. We've had Derrick Henry for 4 years, and for the first two, we didn't use him. And Titans fans are so all over the place. I think every fan base is probably like that. But they were like, "Oh, Derrick Henry was a bust. Why did we draft him?" Blah blah. He wasn't being used, and now we see that he's King Henry. Everybody loves him, and he's the leading rusher in the NFL. So. I think that was a really big piece of that. Once they figured out, hey, if we run this guy, he's going to run all over teams and beat them down and play that Tennessee tough football that we love. And then when you see Ryan Tannehill really open up with that RPO and have options like A.J. Brown and Adam Humphries and Corey Davis, and our tight ends look good. I mean, Anthony Ferguson and Jonnu Smith are making big plays. So you just have a lot of weapons now, and they're all legitimate threats. So when teams go to scout that team, they really have to take into account everyone, which is not something they had to do before. So I think adding that talent was a big part of it. And then Mike Vrabel also getting comfortable with the pieces that he had in there and the pieces he would continue to add on.
Yeah, going into
I really like what the Titans did with Derrick Henry in his rookie year and the 2 years afterwards, saving him, letting him really see the speed of the game. I think that was I said it. I said you can't throw a rookie running back in, especially like a stud, because he was a stud from the beginning. But they did the right thing. I mean, cut two, and now look at him. He's King Henry.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Listen, Rico's our fantasy football guru every Sunday. And he tried to tell me that Joe Mixon was going to have a better year than Derrick Henry. Joe Mixon of the Bengals over Derrick Henry.
What?
And listen, it's insane.
I am flawed. It was me and my fantasy football partner overthought the whole situation because we weren't so high on Henry when the season started because he's really one-dimensional. He is. Here's the ball, run. He's
right,
not like,
but when they do use him on
the
screen,
great, better than anybody, but he's not really like catching that half a point PPR, in a PPR.
No, but when they do throw him a screen, we've seen him run 70, 80 yards on a screen pass.
Right.
And the thing is, you saw Derrick Henry. I mean, the first two playoff games last year, Ryan Tannehill threw the ball 13 and 14 times. Patrick Mahomes throws the ball 27 times and a half. So you see how important it was. And going back to that offense, before the Steeler game, averaging 32 points per game. They are running the ball, but Ryan Tannehill's done a great job. Can this be a top 5 offensive unit, even with the injuries to Lewan and their offensive line?
They've got to figure out that piece because Lewan has had a lot of injuries over his career with us, but he is such a key part of that offensive line. So as long as Ty can step in there and fill that hole that Lewan is leaving for the rest of the season, I think they'll be fine because, again, those weapons that I listed off earlier are all legitimate. And we were actually going through some of the numbers of like the top receivers and who gets the most yardage, who's scoring the most in fantasy, all of that. And you didn't see a lot of Titans at the top, but what you did see is when you got to 50 to 100, they were all there. And it's because we spread that out so wide, which is kind of what you want when you're thinking of it from a game planning standpoint, is you want the defensive coordinator to struggle with who to take away. Derrick Henry is the obvious option, but I think you're going to see A.J. Brown step up and have more games like he did on Sunday. He's a stud. And I think you're going to see a couple more of those guys step up in a big way.
How about
too.
him and DK Metcalf? We're on the same college team. It's unbelievable. Listen, speaking of Brown, he's obviously the number one option, but you hit the nail on the head. I love the way they're spreading it around. One of the most frustrating things to me is when I do DraftKings and I take a 49er other than George Kittle, because the 49ers do that. 1 week, some guy will have 9 catches. 1 week, some guy will run 30 times. And then the next week, so spreading the ball around is the most, the 49ers and Shanahan have made a living off that over the last year and a half.
The spreading the ball around is the bane of Monte's existence when he sees the team. When he's saying that he doesn't want to touch nobody fantasy-wise on the Titans.
That's why I have Derrick Henry in 2 of my 3 leagues, because he's going to get the ball. A bad game for Derrick Henry is like what he had against the Steelers: 20-something catches, carries, a little bit less than 100 yards, 1 touchdown. I'll take that because he's going to rush for 150 most times. I know, Rika, you wanted to talk to her about the Steeler game and what she thought of it.
Well, I was just going to ask her about the third down. You guys are 52% on third down. Sorry about that.
Yeah, 57%, like the last on third down, getting.
Pittsburgh, on the other hand, was first with 70% getting third down conversions. But I mean, going into this game was very clear that you guys can't pass rush, and we would have all the time in the world. And it was the biggest, flaw. And what are you going to do? What do you think the Titans should do moving forward? Like from this moment moving forward this year to get that going, to get that pass rush, and that's a very difficult question to answer. So I guess.
Yeah, no, I thought Clowney would come in, right, and definitely be a difference maker and stuff. Like, what do you will you be active in the trading deadline? How does this defense get off the field?
Yeah, so it's a lot there to unpack, and I'm sure we'll be here for a couple minutes. And this was my bread and butter when I coached over at Cincy Tech. I worked mostly with the D-line and mostly pass rush guys. So it's something that I see all the potential there in Vic Beasley, in J.D. Clowney, in even Jeffrey Simmons, who's a run-stop defender and really does a good job clogging up the middle, but somehow gets through because they're still single-teaming this guy. So I have notes because I literally get this question like 5 times a day after the 3 days after a game. I get that DM so many times because people know that's my background. So there's a couple things going on right now.
Take your time.
Okay. we're gonna walk it down. So right now we have guys in the front 7 that are not being used to their advantage. We saw, and I said this before the season even started, Jayon Brown, who's one of our linebackers, is one of the best pass coverage linebackers in the NFL, in my opinion. And we saw that, and we saw him create an interception in the end zone on Sunday. He is phenomenal. He has not been used in that as much as he should. You have Clowney, who I think is being used the way he needs to, and he is like half a step away from getting a sack. It seems like every play. In my opinion, you're using Jeffrey Simmons too much in a stunt and not letting him go straight through and bull rush. There's no reason this guy who is 6'4", 310 pounds and as strong as an ox, there's no reason that he shouldn't be just going straight up and bull rushing through people, because when he does, he gets sacks. Daquan Jones is another great run stopper, but he is quick and he's lost about 15 pounds since last season. So he could get around the edge if they need him to. And Vic Beasley just hasn't gotten the snaps that I think he deserves. So that's the issues on the front. And there are some things schematically you could do to fix that. And I, would love to sit down with Coach Vrabel, and that's obviously not going to happen, but that's something that I would love to have that conversation because there are things that you can do to fix it. But we lost Gene Pease, he retired, and that's very, very evident. And then when you look at the back end, the secondary has been kind of lackluster. One of the guys that I really like and doesn't get a lot of snaps is Ty Smith. He is consistent, and they don't give him the time of day. He started on Sunday, but I think he got 22 snaps, and there were 67 defensive snaps. But you see guys like Malcolm Butler, Kevin Byard, Kenny Vaccaro, who will make 1 or 2 really big plays, but then it's nothing. And you'll see huge plays be given up on them. Jonathan Joseph is another issue there as well. So they've got to figure out how to use the guys that are best and use them to their strengths and stop putting them in their weaknesses, because that's what's messing us up right now. It's all from a planning perspective, in my opinion. You got the talent there. I think for the trade deadline, I'd love to see Stephon Gilmore. We get a lot of Patriots, and I think that would be a fun one to get. I think guys can learn from him, and I think that would be a huge asset there. But I don't know that that's realistically going to happen. It's just kind of my dream.
You bring up a good point, because I think come the trading deadline, you see Cam Newton here. I think the Patriots are going to be sellers. I think Minnesota's starting to sell off some pieces. So you're going to look at teams who know they're rebuilding, and I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to be sellers as well. Yeah. One of the things that's so frustrating is that, like I said, the head coach in the Titans comes from Bill Belichick's system, Mike Vrabel, a defensive-minded coach. So you always could put your hat on the defense being one of the not, if not top 5, in the top 5 to 10 range. And now it's like, well, the offense, he's evolved with that, but he hasn't brought the defense over. Do you think, like I said, you just mentioned, Gilmore, do you think they're going to make a trade? I mean, because let's face it, this team could go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know what that trade looks like. I do know that when we signed Clowney at the very last minute, that we did have some cap space left over. So we could,
did you like that signing?
I did. I loved that signing, actually. I think when you look at so Vrabel obviously didn't coach under Belichick, but he does have a lot of that mentality from playing in his system for so long. But you saw him go to Houston and work directly with Clowney for a couple of years, and those were his all-pro years. So you wanted to see Clowney come somewhere that he was comfortable and he knew he'd get used in the right way. And we are seeing him be used to his skill set. It's just, again, he's a half step back. And I think part of that might be football conditioning, and we are seeing every game he gets a little bit closer. So I think here in 1 or 2 weeks, you're going to see him really make a big impact. Yeah,
Do
I
you
don't
think?
remember where else I was going with that.
No. Do you think like? And I say this all the time, like Bill Belichick, and I don't care. Rex Ryan had the biggest personality in the world. His last 6 years, he was the worst coach. Bill Belichick has no personality. I don't care, just win. Does Vrabel have a personality? Because he always seems like he's not laughing. It's all. Does he ever relax, or is it always game face no matter what?
Yeah, so I think he's a lot like Bill, to a lot of extent, but you do see his personality come out. Sometimes there's this, I'm not going to call him out, but there's a reporter here in Nashville that's got his own website and all that. And everybody that's a Titans fan knows exactly who he is. And he just gets under Mike's skin, and it's hilarious to see because he'll come and ask a question at the press conference. They'll say, oh, hey, so-and-so, it's your go. And Mike is like, oh, what are you going to ask today? Like, it's just, so that's where you see the personality come out because he's not here for the BS. He just wants to refocus the guys and focus on football, and I love that.
Anna, this is a good question from George. Is Clowney a half step slower, or you think he's just not in game shape?
Yeah, I think, he came, 7 days before our first game? So it takes them a minute to get back in.
Yeah, it takes him about a month. He should be getting into stride.
Yeah, I think on Sunday you will see him get into stride. I mean, granted, we're playing Cincinnati, who has one of the worst O-lines in the NFL. So if he doesn't get some sacks on Sunday, then yes, also he's a half step slower. But I think we see him make a big impact in the next couple of weeks against Cincinnati and Chicago. No, I think he's still in a good position. I just think that it had everything to do with the fact that he came in late and that this year has been weird. I mean, it's been very, very weird.
That whole pandemic.
Listen,
right. That COVID.
After watching the Bills, I thought that victory over the Bills was huge, but after watching the Bills against the Jets, I think the Dolphins are going to win this division. But I love what Tennessee's doing here. Give us some takeaways of the Steeler game. Like I said, we talked about it. Listen, the Packers lost 38-10. Okay, they got embarrassed. One thing about Tennessee is what I love now is even when they're losing, you never feel like they're out of the game. And again, if they make that field goal, they're right back in it. The defense is not great, but they still have that mentality that we could get an interception, we can make a play. Is this because of Vrabel, or is it because of Tannehill? Like we don't have Mariota, we have a guy who can sling it.
See, real quick, my thoughts on that is that I feel like watching Tennessee's they're following their game plan from beginning to end. From what I've been watching, a lot of teams abandon the game plan. They stick to it, and that's why they've come back in four games this year in the second half. Because I feel like they don't, right? I mean, I don't know. That's just an outsider looking in. So
because they have Derrick Henry, the best running back in the NFL.
They stayed, did a game plan. They followed it through right to the end, and they almost beat us. I mean,
well, Rico, that's because they have Derrick Henry, the best running back in the NFL.
I
call me a pure running back, pure.
Yeah.
Not, he's not a swing, whatever.
Don't pull a Ryan Clark, Rico. Come on. Ryan Clark was eating his words this weekend. I was so upset. I got into some Twitter arguments over that because I did not like that take at all. But no, I think Rico is absolutely right. I think that Mike Vrabel game plans well. Again, I have some issues with his defense schemes that he runs, but that's just probably because I worked in that and I have different opinions on how that should be run with those pieces of talent. But no, I think if they can stick to, like, even when we're down, we still have to run Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry breaks out in the second half every single game. So if they can stick to that, they're always going to be in the game. Derrick Henry is that X factor that keeps you there. I think there's also a tremendous amount of trust in Ryan Tannehill from the coaching staff and from the offense. If you don't have that trust, then you never feel that. That's what we were missing with Mariota. We never
be honest,
felt like
not to interrupt you, but when they signed him, I was like, this is the dumbest deal I've ever seen in my life. Well, part of it has to do with what's going on with the Jets right now. Adam Gase is a disaster. He ruined Ryan Tannehill's career.
Well, I think the Titans got what Miami was buying. Like Miami Tannehill didn't get the product that they wanted. When I sort of signed it, I said, I bet they get what Miami was looking for all these years, and they did. I think he's doing great over there.
Yeah, something that people don't realize is you have to, especially for the position like quarterback, you have to be in the right setting. And he just wasn't. And we're finding out very quick that Adam Gase is not great. So if you didn't know before, you know now.
Adam Gase, it's funny because I brought this up before. Adam Gase did a terrible job on the interview. The Jets weren't going to hire him. But then Peyton Manning and Nick Saban call Woody Johnson. Imagine going into interview and they don't even want to talk about it. It was so bad. He bombed the interview. And then Peyton Manning and Nick Saban call Woody Johnson, and Woody Johnson hires him at like 2 hours later.
Yeah. And how do you feel if you're Peyton Manning and Nick Saban now?
Yeah,
How was your endorsement?
Let me tell you, the way he's going, he's going to bring Trevor Lawrence to the biggest stage in football.
Let's hope.
Yeah,
all right.
Let's hope for once. Jets get a good break.
So again, Ryan Tannehill, 14-5. 14-5. Yeah. What is your expectations? We're talking with Anna Lewis here about the Tennessee Titans on the Full Monty Sports Show. Is it AFC Championship or bust? Will you be disappointed because, like I said, I don't buy the Ravens. I think the Titans can push them around. I think the Steelers can push them around. Obviously, the Chiefs, you got to beat the champs. But I think the Titans are damn good.
Yeah, I agree, and I appreciate it too because I've gone 12 years with absolute disrespect from everyone in the league for my team. And it was well deserved at some points, but no, I expect an AFC championship. I want to see them get there. The Ravens are so tough because you want to say, who's going to show up in the playoffs because we've seen it 2 years in a row, but you just don't know. And their defense just got better with another signing and another trade. So I don't know. I just saw the comment down below. Those always make me laugh. But I think the Ravens might be the one, if we didn't make it to the AFC Championship, that might be the issue just because of that 20-year rivalry there. But we definitely showed them who we were last year, and I hope to see that again. My expectation is a Super Bowl. I want to see them in the Super Bowl because this is the year to do it. And that's why I want to see Stephon Gilmore come here because it's honestly, there's a lot of guys that go into free agency at the end of this year. And we've got to do it now, or it's going to be another not complete rebuild the way it was before, but it's going to take some time again after this year.
We got about a minute or two left. I just want to ask this question because you see the Steeler fans, they travel tremendously. Raider fans travel tremendously. Tennessee is kind of considered a smaller market. Some people consider it a college. How are the fans? No, some people think a college town like the Tennessee Vols for years with Peyton Manning.
My heart a little bit.
But I look at when they did the draft there 2 years ago. Nashville. I mean, who wouldn't want? I mean, why isn't that more of a hotbed for free agency? Why would it? If you're going to go into Green Bay, which is cold and there's nothing around, why not go to Tennessee where you can have a great time?
Yeah, I don't know. And I think as Nashville grows as a city, and I'm born and raised in this area, so it's cool to see the city grow. But no, I think as you see more things happen here in the city, you'll see more people want to live here. And we're also 4 hours away from Atlanta. So if you don't want to go play for Atlanta, which most people don't, you could still drive down for a fun weekend if you need to.
Atlanta's a terrible sports town. Terrible sports town.
It is, but it's a fun town to go party in, I'll say that.
Anna's a party girl. Look at that.
All right, Anna. So Super Bowl this year or bust? That's what you're saying.
That's how I feel.
That's your goal. I like it. Yep. I like the confidence. And listen, you should
want to win it.
They played bad and they were in it. The Green Bay Packers played bad and they lost 38-10. So there's nothing about this. If they could get a pass rush, they could be a Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah.
And I do think whoever the AFC team is that goes to the Super Bowl is going to be the team that wins. I don't think the NFC will be in it as much as the AFC. Yeah, it's more competitive over on this side.
I think the AFC is better this year. I do agree with you. A lot of people talk about the Tampa Bay Bucks now with that defense. But listen, I've been looking for someone to come on and talk Tennessee Titans for a long time. So I'm so glad you came on. We will have you on again down the road. How can we follow you? How can we follow you and support you on social media?
Yeah, so our network handle is at the SIA Network. So please go give us a follow there. We are up and coming and have some really exciting talent coming on, and would love to talk to you two more and have more of our people come on and talk to you guys. And then my personal handle is at Anna_Lewis35, and I talk all things Titans football there. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
No, listen, I say this all the time, not to brag, but my Twitter page gets about 10 million hits per month. So put your stuff on there. I have a lot of fans who follow me who like the Titans. So if I can help you and support you and what you're doing, I'll definitely do it because I love what you had to say.
I've never seen a person talk about something not bragging as much as Monte does about that. Not bragging.
I'm not bragging. Look at my numbers. I love it. I'm not way too. I get it.
This is a number I was
Every
telling.
week you stop bragging.
I was telling, one of the things that we love, and yeah, I do brag. Right? We used to listen. We used to do podcasts. We started doing this 2 months ago. These shows on YouTube, and we're already third when you scroll sports shows on YouTube.
That's crazy.
We're up 81%.
Congratulations.
We're up 81% from last month in viewership. When you have 81% of the population, that's better than the presidential race.
Right. Killing it. Y'all are killing it.
because of guests like you, Anna. Because of guests like you. So thank you so much.
All you guys.
Thank you so much. We'll have you on. And please, anything you guys do, put it on my page, and I'll definitely retweet it.
Absolutely. You guys have a great night, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much.
You so much. You're awesome.
Thank you. Bye.
There you
go.
She's cute too.
Tremendous. Well, yeah. I mean, listen, she was a defensive line coach for a college.
Jeez. She
knows a round of applause.
I had so many inappropriate comments, but I saw Joe was on here before. I didn't want to say it.
More inappropriate than my Home Depot comment?
Well, yeah, I feel like mine was going to veer into a sexual thing that could just, blow up in my face.
What is wrong with you? So Rico, you agree with her though about the Tennessee Titans. I mean, you saw them play your Steelers. They were losing 24-7. They came back. Big Ben, terrible interceptions and made mistakes. You think the Titans could be a Super Bowl team, correct?
I don't think they could be a Super Bowl team, but I think the ball bounces the right way a few times. But with that pass rush, no, they're not going to be anything. You're not beating Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson with that pass rush. Because not only do they not have a pass rush, they're slow. Their front line is slow. Like if Ben Roethlisberger if Lamar Jackson could probably, besides him being very upset about last year's loss, he will. I don't see them getting past one of those two teams. Never mind Pittsburgh.
I didn't want to post this because I didn't want her to get upset. But look at George. I wouldn't mind seeing him.
While he's watching the game.
But remember that Rams-Titans game? The guy reached for the touchdown and he stopped him, and the Rams won. Remember that the Tennessee Titan guy, with 1 yard reach for him? So I didn't want to post that. But no, Anna Lewis, follow her on social media. I've been trying to get someone from the Titans, and the problem is most people who cover the Titans, they can't come on the show on Sunday because they're at the stadium. Even with COVID, the people who follow me and the people. But I'm telling you right now, she's going to be a repeat guest. She's going to be my person to go to when it comes to the Titans. She was tremendous. She was tremendous.
I'm worried she might take my job.
Why is the camera on you? The cameraman is obsessed with you today.
Loves me. It's the camera. It's the whoa.
The cameraman loves you.
Now I feel better. I got a warm feeling.
You know what it is?
I got to share the screen.
I think it was
my shows or anything that I'm ever on. I'm a solo act. One time, one take, boom, out.
So you're saying every time so the movie that Laura has questions about, it was one take. I'm sorry, Rico. Look at your phone. Relax. I'll just sit here and talk to myself. Am I disturbing you for something?
I heard you. I'm just watching the Dodger game. I just want to make sure it is the World Series.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Rico. I'm sorry. All right. Listen, we're going to let you go. We will see you on Sunday. Tremendous job. You have 6 winning weeks, 1 losing week against the spread, and you're 3-4 against me. If you lose this week, it'll be 5-3, and you're looking at a serious deficit to overcome in fantasy football.
I am very confident about that. I'm more confident about beating you than I am with my picks.
Oh,
and my picks are 6-1.
All right, Rico, but you're down. You're down. I'm up 4-3.
4-3 is nothing. Pittsburgh was down 20. Pittsburgh was winning 27-7, and look what happened. They almost lost.
I'm going to let you go because, I know you got more important things to do, like, have some chips and watch the World Series. So we'll see you on Sunday. Thanks so much. I want to thank Rico. Show me the money, Graziano. I'm literally talking to him on a live broadcast, and he's looking at his phone for Dodger, and he's not even a Dodger fan. He's not even a Dodger fan. Oh, Rico. Anyway, I want to thank Anna Lewis. I want to thank Rico. Show me the money, Graziano. And I want to thank you for making the full Monte Sports Show a success. Please feel free to retweet this on your social media, on your Facebook page, on your Twitter page, and let people know about our show. We are growing at a very rapid rate, and I could not do that without you, so I want to thank everyone. And in the immortal words of Llewellyn Moss from No Country from Old Men, I shall return, Carla Jean, and we will see you on Sunday. 11 a.m. Eastern.